Yes, sir.
I go.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Flores, and today I'll be telling you how to tell a great story. There are a few elements to a great story, which is essential premise, characters, setting, a protagonist, an antagonist, an arch, a conflict. It's good to have emotions in it, and as well as morals. Essential premise. A premise is the point of the story. For example, bad people can be turned good or saving the world. By the time you, the audience, reaches the end of the story, you will understand what the story was about. Characters. Every story needs a character. They could be funny, you could make adorable characters, they could be heroic, or conflicted, serious characters, and the most interesting kind, mentally disturbed characters. A setting is perfect to identify a character's surroundings. It will help the audience to imagine the character's location and what they have to deal with. Now it's time to choose a main character, a hero, or in other words, the protagonist. Keep in mind, the protagonist isn't always the good guy. So if you want your story to be more interesting, make him have flaws. The role of antagonist, or bad guy, is to get in the way of the protagonist. Usually they are villains, but they can also be non-human, for example. An arch. An arch is to keep the story satisfying for the audience. For example, if some guy started out drunk in the beginning, then he must be sober in the end. The more changes that you make to a story, the more interested the audience will become. There has to be conflict with the characters of your story. Conflicts increase suspense. The most interesting type of conflict is when the main character has a conflict with himself. Now, pay close attention to this video I'm about to show you. I will explain the purpose of it when it's finished.
I looked down through the backyard. I waited for ages, listening to Dad's bathwater banging its way through the pipes. I got my flashlight off the kitchen shelf. My hands were trembling. I went out, past Ernie's toilet, the fire, and the dead pigeons. I stood at the garage door and switched the flashlight on. I took a deep breath and tiptoed inside. I felt the cobwebs and the dust, and I imagined that the whole thing would collapse. I heard things scuttling and scratching. I edged past the rubbish and the ancient furniture, and my heart was thudding and thundering. I told myself I was stupid. I told myself I'd been dreaming. I told myself I wouldn't see him again. But I did.
When people give voice to their characters, they bring them to life. You feel like you're right next to the character and experiencing his feelings. If you notice, Mr. Bartman uses emphasis in certain phrases and adds an accent to the character. It makes the reading more involved and dramatic. You want your audience to show emotion when you're telling the story. They can sometimes relate to the experiences in the story, and sometimes their opinions and feelings are also relatable. When you're telling a story, you want to have morals. What message are you trying to pass on? People will say their own opinions on what you think and what they think on morals. When a story has a moral, they could either like it and listen because of what they like, or they could disagree, but they will still be interested in the story. Any questions? And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.